Not again. Through eyes at last I saw in tears. Oh, sweet thing. Professor Trevor Broom is to have the courage to stand by him when I'm gone. Know that it is one of 5 men. All I want from you. All of you! Chooses the wizard, Mr. Potter. That much has always been clear to those of us who have studied wand lore. 12 3/4 inches. Unyielding. Read on the origin of the species by means of natural selection by Charles Darwin. Nothing could have prepared me for this godforsaken hope. The security of this nation depends on complete and total compliance. Any protester, any instigator or agitator will be made example of. That's with the ball.
To an age when thought is free, from the age of Big Brother, from the age of the thought police. You know the only thing to do is to walk out of here before it's too late. Never see one another again.
Merrick.
You can speak.
There's something that I've been meaning to ask you for some time now.
What's that?
Can you cure me?
The amazing John Hurt.
I speak, yes. Thank you. Heaven alone knows. Sit down. Who would have thought all those years ago that I would be sharing the stage of the Royal Opera House, the Royal Opera House, Covent Garden, with Billy Bob Thornton? How fabulous. Anyway, one of the difficult things, of course, by being given an award that you know you're going to get and not having to wait for the envelope to be opened, is that you are supposed to have had the time to write a speech. Well, I did. But without giving away too much information, I was getting up one morning last week and on my way to the bathroom and passing the end of the bed, and my wife said to me, she said, "Oh, can I say something to you? You remember that the other day you read out that speech that you're going to give on Sunday?" I said, yeah. "You sure you're not going to be cross?" She said, "No, I'm not going to be cross." What about it? She said, "Well," she said, "don't." So I thought, well, that's all right. Oh, clearly you didn't like it. But I mean, what am I going to do? I've got to say something. So she said, "Well, what I would like to see you do is stand just as you're standing now in front of all those peers that have been directly or indirectly responsible for giving you this honor, and simply say, 'Thank you.' I have taken her advice. And I'm saying to all of you, indirectly and directly, thank you. Particularly, however, to all those directors that have given me the opportunity to play some of the most wonderful parts that I would never in a million years have thought of for myself. And it is the reason that I am standing here is because I am the addition, basically, of their imaginations. So I thank them all from the bottom of my heart, and the Academy. Thank you all. Memory is a very strange thing. It tells you wonderful lies. I'd rather have memory than photographs, because I prefer, however inaccurate my memory is, I prefer that memory than one which is prompted by the tedious reality of a photograph. The time that I particularly remember was when I first did a formal play when I was at prep school, and I was 9, and I played the girl in it. I don't know anything more about it. I played lots of girls when I was young because I had a very high voice and was particularly pretty. So hard to believe now, but anyway, that was the case. And so I played a lot of girls. But that's beside the point. The fact is that I was pretending to be somebody else, and I was on a stage, and I was suffused with the feeling that I was in the right place. This is where I should be. It solidified, as an idea. Until by the time I left that school, the prep school, around about the age of 13, I really did know that I wanted to act. To put it in a much, much blunter way, I could think of no better way of showing off. And I think there is a touch of that. That there is a show-off. There is something of a show-off in an actor. And it's only when you get older that you begin to delve further into it, and you find depths that you didn't know existed when you were younger, and so on. The game of cowboys and Indians started off quite simple. It's just got more and more complicated, and therefore more and more interesting, I think. There is no artist or craftsman, for that matter, who can afford not to observe. I don't mean by that you go out and say, I'm going to do some observing today. It's just you have to be aware, because that goes into your memory. You don't know how it's going to go into your memory, but it's what you draw on later. all kinds of things get stacked away in the mulberry of your mind, you know, you're really not aware of until it comes to perhaps needing it, and somehow it's there. Well, you can't just fabricate it from nothing, I don't think. When it's going well, when it's going what I would call inspirationally, you don't know how you arrive there. You don't know how that happens, but it does. And when it is inspirational, I have no idea where my head is. My head is entirely with the character that I'm playing. I don't know who I am. I am that person for that time. You don't know when you're going to be inspired. That's the other thing. You don't know until you start. But the minute you put your foot on the stage, things can change. And suddenly something else takes over, some spirit takes over, and you might find that that's one of the most inspired performances you've given. There's the famous Olivier story, of course, when he was doing Othello. And there was one night when the cast, him, everything, absolutely inspired performance, fantastic. The audience went crazy. And he stormed off the stage, slammed his dressing room door. His wife, Joan Plowright, went and knocked on the door eventually because he wouldn't come out and said, "Larry, what is the matter with you? It's the most fantastic performance tonight. Audience is almost still clapping. It's extraordinary. The whole cast was up and you were just brilliant." And he said, "Yes, I know. But how did I do it?" Good afternoon. I'm looking for the doctor. Great men are forged in fire. It is the privilege of lesser men to light the flame. I am the doctor again.
John Hurt, welcome to A Taste of My Life.
Thank you.
Now, you were born in Derbyshire.
I was, yes.
What sort of home life was it? Happy home life?
Oh, yes. Yes, I think it was. Certainly in the childhood days. It was a vicarage life, of course. I mean, it was quite strict in some ways.
Were you a very sort of close family? I mean, were you all eating together at the same time and sitting down for sort of fairly formal meals?
Yes, always formal. This is, of course, I mean, during holidays, I don't really remember. School was sort of different. I was sent away to school when I was 8.
You were sent away at 8?
Yeah.
Did you enjoy that? Did you like boarding school?
It was pretty tough, because I was, you know, actors are notoriously, oddly enough, pretty poor liars. And I was always being discovered, always caught. Mr. Cormac used to have a belt, which was about that thick, and had prongs on the end of it, and a hole at this end which used to hang on a hook. And he'd say, "Behold the brazen serpent." And you put both hands out like that with this belt, and it'd go right through them both. It was tough. It wasn't... But the point is, it didn't seem it at the time. That was the status quo, so you didn't question that. In the junior school, aged 8, you'd take a ruler, take your hand like that, and she would... thumb there. I can remember it to this day. Yeah.
But it wasn't. It wasn't. I'm not sure this is the boarding school I was wanting to go to.
No, but it's one that I ought to write about.
Did they feed you well?
Post-war?
Yeah.
Wasn't a lot about. Stew with the dumplings.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Great dumplings, too. As a child, I didn't know any other way. There was no other reference to any other way either, because there wasn't any television, there wasn't any radio that I was listening to, at any rate. These dumplings are sensational.
Would you say that you were a well-behaved boy?
I think I was well-behaved, but I was always being caught. Curiosity's always, killed the cat and it nearly killed me.
You know, my father always said that never tell a fib, because he said, I've got it written right across my forehead, I am telling a fib.
Oh, and
because I can't do it.
There's a time that my mother used to glory in saying, when I came in at the age of 5 from the garden, covered in juice, and said, if anyone's been eating the strawberries, it's not me.
When you said that you have a brother and sister, did you get on as kids?
Oh, yes.
Yes, terrific. My brother was a great brother. He was 7.5 years older than me. It's he that insists on the half.
There was a point when halves were very important.
Well, there is a point in life, yes, when you were younger, that a half was extremely important, but it still seems to be important to him. Yes.
Well, I've got a little message for you from someone very special.
In fact, there he is. Gosh, he's getting old. Michael, you're getting very old.
Because I was thinking of you've got to do something that's evocative of early life. And I couldn't think of anything that I ever cooked for you that you would feel like that about it. And then I thought pudding was always spotted dick. So that is what I'm going to cook for you today. First thing is 8 ounces of flour. John always maintains that I was a great brother to him. Fairly generous 4 ounces, I think. As far as him being a successful actor, I've never had any sort of misgivings or difficulties about him becoming famous, and here am I, just stuck in a monastery. And the thing is, we've always got on so well. I can't remember a time when we didn't get on well. Oh, now, what do you know? Here's one I cooked earlier. Now.
That's right.
I suppose it must be quite unusual in some ways, but we've never had a difficulty about relationship, you know. It's given me great pleasure, of course, that we have got on so well. Are you proud of it? Yes, I think I am, rather. Yes, it's... I mean, with part of myself a little terribly level-headed and deadly serious, I say, well, actually, of course, you know, acting's a pretty sort of frivolous sort of activity. But the point is, you don't really believe that. I don't personally feel very much like it myself at this moment. And I did it some time ago, and 1 or 2 of the monks took it. One of them said, "This is foul."
Looks pretty good to me.
It looks great stuff to me.
Yeah. Aye. Look at that. You just happen to have one standing by.
To have Michael's pudding. What sort of friend is John Hurt? You're a good friend.
I think I'd be a bit sort of scatty, a bit unreliable, probably.
But the sort of person that you'd invite to a party.
Well, I always used to reckon that I was a visitor rather than a visited.
Okay.
Yeah. So I suppose, yeah.
Do you intend to spend your entire life admiring yourself?
If I possibly can.
Yes, I've been told. In fact, I've been advised not to do it by, certain people. A divine character for an actor to play.
Yeah, you can get your teeth into that sort of part.
It's a fabulous part to play.
And you get to be camp.
Eat your heart. Yes, quite. Eat your heart.
Then you went on to I, Claudius.
Which I turned down to start with.
What, you just didn't like the script?
I couldn't believe. I just thought, this is ridiculous. Nobody ran the known world who was this lunatic. It's silly, I thought. I must have been in that sort of a bit of a hissy mood. Something clearly wasn't in a historical mood.
Back to Rome in pieces. I wish I hadn't thrown my uncle into the river now. I could have done the same with him, but never mind. They'll get the message.
That's when I first started going to... Yes, that's when I'd be going to Chez Solange.
Tell me about Elephant Man. I found it a very sad film. I found it quite harrowing at times.
It was down to David Lynch. And I asked him eventually, when we already started shooting, I said, by the way, why did you think of me? Did it sort of leap off the page? Or something? And he said, no, I'd seen Naked Civil Servant. And I said... He said, this is someone who manages to make a character seem as though that's who they are.
You completely surprised and terrified me in Alien.
You see, it was pre-digital, so it was all done with Alf. Well, when I turned over on the table, there's nothing magic about this. There was Alf down underneath the table, with the alien on the end of a stick, poking upwards, saying, Is it coming through yet, Eric? No, Alf, can't see it yet, no. And it went on like that for a bit. Then the audience was peeled off the ceiling.
Been married a few times, but your wife, Anwen, how did you meet her?
I met Anwen, thank God, in Groucho's. She was there, and she very rarely was there, and I was there, and I very rarely was there. I'm not going to tell you anymore.
I've got a surprise for you.
Oh, yes?
That you'll like.
Oh, yes?
I'm going to make a very tiny little version of our wedding cake, which was huge. It was supposed to look like a bunch of flowers, and I think it was quite successful. And we met in Soho, and then it was just incredible. I think I pinched myself for about 2 years, actually. And sometimes I still do. I really do. I just think, I can't believe this.
Silly girl. Ah, it's a great kitchen, isn't it?
Isn't it beautiful?
Oh, where was I? I must have been out doing something.
People use these words like legend and iconic, and John hates it. But it's true. Of course it's true. But he's just also a proper person. He's an incredibly warm and real human being. There is none of the star about him, none of the diva. I mean, he can't bear all of that.
How beautiful is that?
Well, we've got to have a bit of this one, because that's from the original. Only thing I want to say, really, is thank you for the opportunity to make our wedding cake.
You romantic, you. How sweet. Ah, that's very touching. Oh, my God.
Here.
It's fabulous, isn't it? We'll all have to have a bit of that later. I am not who I believed I was. That really upsets me. I'm not going to dance with pleasure to find out that this one thing that one of the bankers in my life isn't true. Am I?
One of the bankers?
Well, one of the bankers in my life was my Irish identity. For me. Yes, very important to me. I had very good reason to believe there was a connection, very good reason to believe to have it substantiated by the fact that when I went to Ireland the very first time, that I felt that I was where I should be. You know, I felt it was home. It isn't.
But that doesn't alter your feelings.
Of course it does. Alters my feeling completely. That's what I feel at the minute. I don't know. I'll probably laugh about it before I know where I am. But I don't feel like laughing now. Memory is a very strange thing. It tells you wonderful lies. I'd rather have memory than photographs. Because I prefer, however inaccurate my memory is, I prefer that memory